I love Songbirds 3rd edition. I backed the game on Kickstarter for their Red edition specifically around February/January of 2024. And I'll be honest, this game has been on my mind for a long damn time. So today, I'll be covering Songbirds 3rd edition by Snow. I'll be discussing its mechanics, its themes, and what this RPG means to me, and why I think you should give it a try. And also, this game is a work of art. So first things first, if you don't want to know anything about the RPG, I highly recommend you just check down below in the description box to check out the game and support Snow. Anyhow, without further ado, let's not waste our time. Let's dive into the birth, death, and love of Songbirds 3rd edition. Songbirds 3rd edition is a D20 tabletop role-playing game made by Snow. The game started out originally as a hack of Into the Odd and turned into Snow's own dungeon crawl with further and further revisions, as shown here. If you've played D&D 5e or any D20 tabletop role-playing game, then Songbirds replicates that with OSR twists due to the game's lethality, sandbox nature, and player-specific problem-solving being the focus of this game. And the basic check of this game consists of using a D20 plus your stat/skill versus a DC modifier determined by the game master. As for character creation, a Songbird, the player character, which are only referred to as Songbirds, is made up of 4 core stats: physique, reflex, lore, and charisma. You assign 5 points to any of those stats. Afterwards, write down your save, which is going to be a D10. Then, choose the 3 skills available to Songbirds, which are separated by your core stats. Once you've chosen your skills, you get to roll for your gift/curse, roll for trinkets, and mark your starting gear. You also give your Songbird a name or generate one up, and you can roll for your birthday or choose in the in-game calendar available. With that being said, on the surface, there doesn't seem to be much going on, but it is in the details of those randomized rolls, tables, monsters, and content that makes Songbirds 3rd edition so freaking wonderful. Because in most OSR games or D&D inspired games, you kill things, get more treasure from undiscovered places, quote unquote, and grow stronger through accumulating mass wealth and creating property. And eventually, your adventurer becomes so strong they create their own dominion and create followers for them. Songbirds 3rd edition is not concerned of any of that bullcrap. It's a story about life, death, and the ever-growing transition between all of those in its themes. How Songbirds deal with those harsh and beautiful realities and the whimsy surrounding it is up to you as the player and the game master with you. In fact, when you open the book, the first actual page of content, skipping past the table of contents and title page, is not about character creation or even describing the lore. It's a one-page story. It's a backdrop of a deep royal blue background. In contrast, there are clouds that sit and float at the edge of the page on the right in a deep white. In the center is the one-page story that pops out as you read it.
Once upon a time, 2 gods lived together in our sky, the god of love and the god of death. 2 great and powerful foxes who danced as one, until one day, in a fit of jealous rage, the god of love was killed and fell from the sky. Now there is but one god, our sorrowful and tired god who sleeps inside the moon.
Whereas most RPGs just explain what the game is about, the story, as you'll come to learn, is told through play and told through just exploring the book itself. In fact, back to character creation. While you know how to create a songbird, have you asked yourself, what does it mean to be a songbird in this game? Well, Snow states this herself on itch.io. In the game, you create a strange survivor of the world who is chosen or cursed by death. Spirits aren't able to pass on to the afterlife and grow monstrous with each passing day. You know the songs to send them on. You have the abilities that help you find them. You are the canary in the coal mine. And as a canary, I think the themes of life, death, and transition are central to the Songbirds 3E narrative. As a songbird, you are someone who transitioned from life to death to life to help spirits pass on. And since you are coming from death to life, you have these items that you start the game with. Trinkets are not items like 10 feet poles or caltrops, but maybe your best friend's beanie and a pipe with a bag of weed. Maybe it's a letter from an admirer and a war pamphlet. It could be your dad's ornate switchblade and a super ultra rare trading card. And so forth with your D100 rolls on the trinket tables. And you can tell that the range is either goofy or more serious. And these trinkets can add a layer to your character's backstory. Plus, in OSR fashion, the trinkets don't have any specific mechanical benefits. It is largely dependent on the player and GMs to create solutions when trying to deal with conflict, whether it be spirits, resource management, or the Songbirds' own personal dramas between each other. And since you've been born again, you also are given a gift/curse. Take the Moonchild. Luck is the language of love and death, and you speak the language. This gift/curse has mechanical benefits, but also tells you a bit about the Songbirds' rebirth/transition. It begs the question, why Moonchild? What was your Songbird doing to get cursed/gifted with this ability? What does a luck token look like for your Songbird? And why can they manifest a secret door? What's inside this secret door? These are questions the players and GMs are confronted with and must navigate through play. So a Songbird is a character through constant transitions. And if it's not already obvious, this is a trance game by trance creators. That is exactly stated on the title page of Songbirds 3rd edition. There's also a trance flag, so there's no mistaking what this game is going for. In fact, in many of the items you can buy throughout the world during downtime activities, one thing you can get is gender affirming care, which in-game is one of the more expensive miscellaneous items, coming out to $150 per month. It is as expensive as a riding animal or high quality clothes. However, the monthly cost indicated is more expensive than any of the other items there. This cost is sharply similar to how gender affirming care in the US, where Snow and many of the artists and playtesters reside, is extremely fucking expensive. And originally, I re-recorded this several times discussing how expensive transgender care is, especially if you even have insurance. An article showing that it's around $1,700 per insurer for hormonal therapy, but that doesn't even include socioeconomic factors, race, access, and all the other costs, just time, effort, and emotional labor that go into hormone therapy and or gender affirming care, and how gender affirming care can look differently for different trans and NB individuals. Or it cannot be that deep at all and Snow just wanted to put in dope ass trans affirming content. Nevertheless, transition as a theme is very clear in Songbirds 3rd edition. And keeping in line with themes of transition, the game also specifies 4 seasons similar to our own, which are then divided into its own months, and then divided into a calendar with each day segmented into 3 pieces. This information is important because there is a golden rule in Songbirds 3rd edition that is central to how a GM and players keep track of time. In between sessions, game time passes at the same rate as our real world time, which I think is damn freaking awesome and not something I've ever seen actively implemented into most RPGs that I've either played or ran. The passing of time is something that seems so simple in our day-to-day activities, and when you apply it to a game, it makes the world and your characters feel more human. Your characters are transitioning from say, downtime activities into adventuring or cohorting or whatever that might look like. And that's what encircles the life of a songbird. It's those moments of transition which are quiet. Those moments are sandwiched between the songbirds' otherwise more active life or moments of play, and their moments of death or destruction, i.e., when the game ends permanently or when a character/songbird dies. And in all of that, your songbird is taking care of their expenses, resting, living their life, and just experiencing. It is those moments of transition that I think is a relatable experience for any trans and queer person. But there's also another part to the songbird experience, I think, and that's life.
With death asleep and love gone, spirits no longer find their way to rest. The dead rise and wander under her crescent glow. Ghosts remain where flesh once was, bones refuse to settle. Spirits twist and churn into beasts, destroying all in their path, seeking an end to their suffering. No one prays, for they fear what shall happen when she wakes.
Alright, so we understand that one of Songbird's themes is transition, and that is clear as day between the trance flag on the title page to the usage of time and how an adventuring day is structured. It's very clear. However, what gives those moments of downtime importance? I think it's the adventures that brought them. So, when time is no longer passing by and spirits must be put to rest, the Songbirds take on the mantle to adventure. It is those highlighted moments of the Songbird's life that players and GMs may start to piece together the life and lore of the Songbirds world. As a game master, you can reference the treasure tables, spirits, and dungeon chapters in the game. And every time there are these sprinklings of something deeper, life, bubbling within death. Let's take, for example, spirits like the dragon. The dragon has a beautiful page detailing what they are. Immortal spirits born from a mortal who ingested a fallen star. Many people outside the Empire believe that if a dragon eats your corpse, you will pass gently to the afterlife. Hold on, what's the Empire? Snow never directly says what the Empire is, but I think the Empire is an authoritarian and fascist military and governing body. The Empire has concentrated all of their wealth into the city and uses their military might to expand their colonial hands. In fact, Aaron brought up a great point on the topic.
Songbirds isn't interested in exhaustive histories, but it leaves little snippets for us to imagine what its world implies. Furthermore, Snow lists Fallout New Vegas as an inspirational text in the appendix, so it's not unreasonable to assume the game had some influence on the way Songbirds conceives of factional struggle. The Empire itself is only named 14 times in the book, almost always as a force for evil. They raid farms, they enslave civilians, they disrupt the environment, and they turn children into psychic weapons. It would be easy to equate them directly with Caesar's legion, but curiously, another faction uses Roman imagery to structure its war machine, the League of Nations. Expanding their spheres of influence for the glory of their queen, the League of Nations appears to be the largest threat to the Empire, and the text hints at many wars between them which scorched the earth. Mapping these two groups back onto Fallout New Vegas, my immediate thought is to compare them to that game's battle between Caesar's Legion and the New California Republic. By virtue of opposing the Legion, the NCR is theoretically that game's good option, but experienced players know that the NCR is more than capable of creating its own desert called peace. What Songbirds does is accelerate the NCR's position as a nascent empire, explicitly giving them a monarch and a conquering army. I like this a lot, because in real history, the League of Nations began as an experiment in democracy, and proved powerless to stop the rise of fascism, ultimately giving rise to two new imperial superpowers. I like to imagine the world of Songbirds is trapped in between the constant battles of violent states, one that was always malicious, and one which found that, despite its noble ideas, found subjugation a more expedient form of diplomacy. Much like the rest of the game, the Songbirds find themselves in a transitional phase of history. Like Gramsci says, while the old world dies and the new one struggles to be born, players are smack dab in the time of monsters.
So, the Songbirds' life is in the middle of powerful enemies and horrors in the world. Between rising spirits and a militarized empire and other factions, our Songbird is in a volatile situation, and at times, combat and violence are necessary to resolve these harrowing encounters. The game has a whole table for massive damage when you take an amount of damage equal to double your hit points at once. And unfortunately, on this table, the Empire's tactics also include harrowing actions like kidnapping that might be related. As stated, the Empire believes it can make people psychic. It kidnaps children into its military facilities and does whatever it can to hide them from the public, whatever it can justify in the name of the quote-unquote greater good. It's worked a few times, and so they continue. This means that the Empire brings in young people by force and forces them to take severe damage and trauma for the possibility of psychic powers, which is horrifying to think amongst the other things that are implied about the Empire. And, hold up. There's also psionic powers in this game too? Yes, but like I said, you gotta suffer massive damage, which means a blue shift if you roll on a D100 table. Blue shift. For a moment, your brain existed in tandem with the moon's dream. If they open up your skull and look inside, your brain will be blue. You can now use psychic abilities. And this blue shift could happen while your songbirds are journeying. You could come across many of the locations available for the GM to populate into the world. One of my favorites being the Maiden Temple, maintained by the Songbird Maidens. These temples serve to worship and venerate different aspects of the world's singular deity, the moon. So this brings up another question. What are the Songbird Maidens? Well, there is a downtime activity that deals with maidens, and the maidens are these holy people who, oh my dear moon goddess, you see what I'm saying here? Every time you as a GM or player come to the book and play, you learn something new about the game. There's always some new piece of lore or new conversation to be had, and it's kind of overwhelming if not really cool. Unlike in other RPGs, the game feels like it's constantly giving back more and more content because there's always something new to learn and discover about the life of Songbirds 3E. The game has life to it, and much like with life, all things need to come to an end. Sometimes those that die return intact, chosen by love, some clamor, cursed by death, bemoan others. They are changed strange by the liminality, mutated, made supernatural, gifted with otherworldly power. These folk, the canary in the coal mine, the moon's nightmare, the only hope for a spirit to join the moon in her slumber. Songbirds. Songbirds 3E is a beautiful game to me, and I've barely covered it. I've ran this game multiple times throughout the several months I've had it, and I haven't even discussed in this video the appendix, the game's touchstones other than Aaron's mention, or the rules on light and darkness, which are all fascinating topics in their own right. The game even has body mods and an awesome list of downtime activities that I didn't discuss in any extent. There's lists on special sodas and even mutations in the game. And that's not me talking about the amazing list of spirits and factions that exist in the game that each have their own motives and add a bit more lore and life to the game. And that's only in Songbirds 3rd edition. There are scenarios inspired by fanfiction that are created by the community and artists. This community-based content is helpful and beautiful. For example, that fanfiction content I talked about earlier has beautiful layout and design that reminds me of what it meant to be a kid writing fanfiction and talking about my favorite fandom. Just look at this. And that's some of the community-based content. There are plenty of artists who are creating expanded books, scenarios, spirit ideas, and useful tools for online play. So the community is there and vibrant and amazing. Plus, Snow recently finished a Kickstarter of the game a few months ago for an alternative version called Songbirds Red, which contrasts Songbirds 3rd edition, the blue version, in a number of different ways. So, Songbirds 3E is a game that keeps on giving. So, would I recommend this game to you? Yes. Now, if you want more crunch, then this game might not be for you. But I think its themes, its ideas, and its clear intent when discussing the beauty and horrors to the queer and trans experience, I think are palpable, beautiful, and amazing. Overall, I think this game's central themes are about transition and the moment between life and death. How our lives can be full of joy, vibrancy through our community and through our work, and what we contribute to the people we care most about and communities, and how we deal with the horrors of that, death, destruction, and the pain that comes with it, as well as how systems harm the most marginalized in many facets. And for all, and especially trans and queer creators, we are dealing with the highs and lows of systems that, quite frankly, do not care about us. One could see from the traumas, heartbreaks, and systematic terrors that marginalized folk face, harm feels constantly breathing down our neck. But hope, struggle, action, and community are powerful tools. Hope is what carries the songs and wishes of the past and present to face up against the terrors of an empire. And if you have been chosen by love and cursed by death, what not a better way than to soar in the sky and fight for the future we demand, fellow Songbird. So if you're interested in this awesome game, then I highly recommend you check out Snow's itch.io page and go support the creator. Otherwise, special shout out to my Patreon supporters, Jakibi, Harrison Parker, and Paul of Wolf Bay, for your continued contribution. You can check out my Patreon and Ko-fi down below in the description box. And also, a special shout out and support to all the creators who helped me write this, read through my script, and give me these ideas for this video. This video wouldn't be what it is without you. And as always, I'm your average everyday Songbird. Blurry disposition. Be all. Have an awesome day. Ciao.